My inspiration piece for this week is a quilt-like pattern, and I am really excited to do it, except when I sat down to do the card, I pulled out a whole bunch of old pattern papers that I have just scraps of, and I came up with these particular ones. I started with different sizes. First I started with a square punch that I felt was too big, and then I started with a, cutting, and again I didn't like the sizing because if I don't have these squares small enough, I didn't feel like the quilt pattern would show up on the card. So what we have here now is the base square is 3/4 of an inch, and the squares in the middle are 1/4 inch. And what I'm going to do, I'm not sure of the best way to place these on the card are. I think there's several ways, but this is the way I'm going to start. So I'm going to move this out of my way. This is just an old piece of pattern paper that I'm not going to use for anything else. I'm going to put double-sided tape along the edges of this, and I'm going to attach the first strip after I do that. I will show you in a moment. When I first saw this pattern, I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be to recreate on a card. But like I said, I really wanted to show that quilt pattern, and without the cards or the squares being small enough, I wasn't going to get that. So it took a while to cut out all these squares, and I've done that off camera obviously before I started this video. So I've gone ahead and placed that on one edge. This stuff is super adhesive, so you want to make sure you place your whatever you're looking to glue down in the exact place you want it. So this is going to be the outside strip in the color that I'm going to use. This is like a charcoal gray patterned paper, and I'm going to run this along the outside of the quilt pattern. So this is where we're going to start. Okay, now I'm going to take the first square, starting from the bottom. The first thing we're going to do is a square. And then we're going to do the mini squares. And I have the next strip of squares. I'm going to use a thinner double-sided adhesive. Go ahead and lift that up. Okay, so the first one that we placed was the gray colored one. Next we're going to place a pink one. And then another gray one. Now if I did a good job cutting these correctly, this should all line up no problem. So the gray goes in the center. I finished the first row, and so now I'm going to be working on the second, which I think will go quite a bit faster. I'm going to do part of this now, and then I'm going to finish the rest of it off camera. So the way, one of the easy parts of this right here is going to be, because I've already gotten the color that I'm going to use started. So I only need to add those in. As best as I can. And the green. And up here we're basically mirroring what we did on the lower half. I went ahead and worked on this off camera, and I'm really thankful that I did, because my prevailing thought while doing this is there must be a better way to do this because it is extremely time consuming. And while I like the results and I'm glad I used the smaller squares, I think I would think of a different way to do it next time. One of the things I had thought of doing was marking each line that I wanted to follow, and maybe similar to graph paper, and I didn't do that. I figured I could line up these squares well enough, and I think that would have been easier because my squares aren't perfectly a 1/4 inch. I was just using my paper cutter and not a punch or anything like that, so in hindsight I think I would have done that differently. And otherwise I'm really happy with the results. I'm going to go ahead and finish this last row here. Okay, here is my finished piece, And I'm going to use this embossing plate on it. I just figure it'll be sort of similar to what a quilted pattern would be. This is just flowers. So I'm going to take this and my Big Shot. I'm going to run it through there. And there's the finished result. I think it does kind of give that quilted look there. What do you guys think? Move this out of the way and we'll go ahead and use the Mod Podge on here. I think this will help keep things smooth and definitely secure. Okay, I'm going to put that aside to dry for about a half hour and we'll be back to finish up the card. Okay, our pieces had a chance to dry and I've taken a piece of cardstock, the standard A2 size card. This is Paper Tray Ink Smoky Shadow cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back of this panel and put it on the front of our card. Okay. Okay, and I don't want to clutter up the front too badly. We want to, of course, make that quilt piece prominent. So what I decided to do is I have these bow tie die cuts, and I'm going to put the bow down here, and go ahead and add some adhesive to this, and then we're going to put this down here. And then here's the base part of the bow, and what I like doing is just sticking a little bit of foam adhesive inside of the bow area, because then it gives it that lift that we want to maintain. And then I'm going to take some pink ribbon to tie around the center of the bow. Okay, and I have a little piece of the ribbon here, and I'm just going to put it in the center. Wrap it around. I am going to put a greeting up on top, and this is a black die cut. It says friend, and this is from Studio Calico. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and I'm going to put liquid adhesive on some of the points of the die here. And I'm going to adhere that here. I'm going to take this pink strip of cardstock and I added green letters to it. So I'm just going to add this above the word, the die cut word. And I think by offsetting it a little bit, it's going to highlight the D slightly. I have these teal rhinestones. I'll just use one of the tiny ones. And that's my finished card. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.